Hello, my name is Mike Bundy. I'm the Executive Officer for Budget and Finance for Moore County Schools. I'm here to share with you a presentation based on state and local funding trends in relation to the fiscal year 1920 budget. And this is a presentation that was presented to the Board of Education on January 22nd. And I'd like to just go through the slides and talk about the funding trends, and so we'll get started. We'll look at state funding trends and local funding trends. And when you look at this pie chart, it talks about the state cost increases from 2008 and 9 through the current 2018. And you'll notice that if you look at that funding trend, the state has provided funding of an increase of $11.8 million. You'll notice that it's broken down into various areas related to salary increases, retirement benefits, health insurance, the overall increase due to the increase in our average daily membership since 2008, and just accounts for the 11.8 million, which sounds like a dramatic increase in state funding. However, the next slide really tells the true story. The true story is, how did the state provide 11.8 million in funding? When you look at this pie chart, you'll notice that state funding in 2018 was 72.2 million, and in 2009 was 67.1 million. Well, that's only an increase of 5.1 million. So the 5.1 million is really the new funding, and we look at 0809 because that is the year before the recession. That is kind of the point that you always go back and compare to. That is kind of the stick in the sand, your measure stick of where you were to where you are now. What you'll notice is that in this chart, you'll notice that there are dramatic reductions. There are reductions in teachers. There's reduction in TAs. There are reductions in textbook and classroom supplies. There are reductions in non-classroom items as well, related to clerical, bookkeepers, custodians. So when you look at this, the state has paid for the increase with cuts to other things and cuts to other programs. So when you look at this slide, the true increase is 5.1 million. If you notice on the far left, you'll see a total of 11.8, which ties to the previous slide, and the new revenue is 5.1. So the total reductions are 6.7 million. That's how the state provided funding, the new funding, by taking cuts in other areas in the public education. This slide here kind of details that. You'll see there's a red line that goes across the slide. That red line is from 0809 through 1819. You'll notice that really, when you look at the revenues really only started to increase since 1415. So since 1415, that's where you see an increase in state revenue. So the bottom point talks about the revenue increase from 0809 to 1718. You see 72.2 million in 1718, less what you had in 0809 of 67.1 million. Your increase is 5.1. The state likes to look at 2009-10, which shows $60 million, and from $60 million to $72.2 million, that's the 11.8 million increase. However, you really need to look at 0809, not 2009 and 10, to really get a true measure of what the increase in state funding has been for Moore County schools. Average daily membership, you'll see again that the high point was back in 13-14. You'll notice that in 18-19 we have 12,759 as the average daily membership, and next year the estimate projection is 12,700 students for average daily membership, and that's an estimate. However, it does show a slight decrease next year in our student population. The next slide shows state funding per pupil. You'll look back again from 08-09, and you'll see that similar trend to state revenue, that you really only get to a increase in the recent years. You'll see in 08-09 you had 5,567, and in the 17-18 year, 5,893. So in the past 2 years, you've just now exceeded what was the per student funding in 08-09 related to the state. So again, the state funding had just barely increased over the 08-09 year. Another dramatic event happened in 2012-13, state conversion loss. Prior to 2012, school districts had more flexibility to convert excess dollars to classroom teachers. However, in 2012, the state eliminated that flexibility to convert these excess dollars to teachers, and we continue to see a loss of the ability to use that funding. Equates to about 20 teachers per year related to the annual loss due to this conversion. Before the conversion, the school system could benefit, but since conversion, the savings now go back to the state, and we continually lose $800 to $1.2 million per year annually due to the inability to convert funding for more classroom teachers. This slide is a slide from a Department of Public Instruction. It's actually a year old, but it shows the changes in the allotment formula, and the slide actually details that, and you'll see a note at the bottom, 2011 through 12 ratios would generate, if it was the same ratios that we had in the old formula, would get 3,000 more teaching positions for public schools. So the note in red just shows at the bottom that we estimate that the ratios from 2011-12 would generate about 30 more teaching positions if it was used in 17-18. This chart is from DPI as of June 2017, but it just shows that not only did we have the loss of conversion, as discussed in the previous slide, we also had a change in the class size ratios that also have an effect on teachers. The state has benefited by passing House Bill 90. House Bill 90 is a bill that is providing enhancement teachers for school districts, and we appreciate the teachers that we have due to that legislation. That is a positive, and we'll continue to get a allocation of enhancement teachers for the next 3 years based on that House Bill 90 legislative action. Another dramatic change that continues to happen is the increase in benefits, the retirement rate and the health insurance. You'll see the retirement rate in 08-09 was 8.14%. In the current year, 2018, is 18.86%. That's a 131% increase in the employer cost for retirement. You'll also see in health insurance, the old rate was $4,157. The new rate is $6,104. That's a 47% increase in employer health insurance. So again, you have dramatic increases in benefits related to our employees. What's the bottom line? This slide just looks at the cost of labor. If you took the cost of labor, took the state funding divided by the number of state employees, you would get an average cost of labor. And what you'll notice in here is that over the past four years or so presented, the cost of labor continues to go up. What you'll also notice is that the number of students continue to go up, the average daily membership, but the number of state employees goes down. So you have, in a sense, you have more students with less total state employees. There are more state dollars per employee, but fewer state-funded employees to support the students. This slide gets into local funding trends, the history of the local fund balance. You'll notice again that the slide shows that in prior years, the high point was around 2011, 2012 in Moore County schools, and since that point, the district has used fund balance to maintain services and programs for our students, to maintain our teachers, and you'll notice that since most recent years, you'll see that the far right hand of the graph shows two colors. One is a minimum of $2 million for available fund balance to meet the needs of the district. The orange shadow is anything that can be used for one-time cost and needs of the district that are identified in the budget process. So the goal is to maintain a minimum of $2 million as a hedge against to meet the needs of payroll, to meet the needs of accounts payable. However, the excess can be used to identify and meet the needs of one-time cost. This slide just shows that since that kind of the same trend is that the district continues to improve and reduce our dependence on our fund balance. You'll notice that in 15-16 it was $3.5 million. In 18-19 it was $613,500. So we continue to reduce our dependence on our fund balance, which is a good thing to do. And one comment, the last sentence talks about that we've not succeeded in this process alone. Moore County Commissioners have continued their strong support for our schools by providing funding for services and programs. We are appreciative of the County Commissioners and their support of and for Moore County schools. This just shows what the prior slide talks about appropriated fund balance, and this just shows what those items were identified as use, $613,500. This slide shows the preliminary Moore County school funding was presented by the county commissioners, by the county manager, Mr. Wayne Vest, on January 16th of 2019. What you'll notice is that there is funding of $850,000 for the current appropriation, and then a additional amount of $739,133, which is one-time cost related to operating costs for McDeeds Creek, the school that's opening up this fall. This just shows the preliminary allocation from the county for Moore County schools. We have had discussions with the county commissioners and the county staff to establish a charter school where we could, a charter school fund where we could look at a combined effort between the schools and the county to fund it and meet the needs of our charter schools. And in a sense, we would make a contribution to the fund for the students who previously attended Moore County schools and would now attend charters. And the county would provide funding for students that never attended Moore County schools and went straight to the charters once they moved into the area. So we think this is a need in our district to identify those costs. The charter school costs continue to increase, and it would be a benefit to the district to provide some type of charter school funding model that we could apply, and both the schools and the board contribute to that funding. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.